I'm back home, and I think kind of due for a video on what had happened uh, during the weekend, mainly Friday and Saturday. And because it's the 14th when I'm recording this, the President of the United States had already uh, updated, I guess you could say, his response toward the event in Charlottesville. But first, I want to clarify that the statue was to be relocated, meaning that the people protesting, the white supremacists, and even Nazis, were essentially arguing to keep the statue in the center of town as opposed to move it somewhere else. Now, the reason that they wanted to move the statue, the town of Charlottesville anyway, was because they wanted to not necessarily ignore the history, but rather just clearly state that this is not what we stand for as Americans. And this of course uh, led to violent protesting, in which weapons were carried by the white supremacists and the Nazis, and there were anti-protesters. There were, I think, a total of 3 deaths. One of them the result of a car crash. So I'm going to be talking about the president's remark um, on what had happened very soon after what had occurred in Charlottesville. He tried to make a false equivalency, saying that there was violence on multiple sides, basically giving the white supremacists an out, which is not something you should really do. And um, this was interpreted by, I forget what the news source is. I'll put like an annotation or something, some text, so you can like know what it is too. But what do you call it? The point is they were celebrating that they weren't being scolded on that day, and so it kind of gave them an out. Today, President Trump went forth with an adjusted response after talking about the economy. He didn't bother to emphasize the importance, I don't know, of the event, and what a big deal it is in identity politics. Um, he kind of made it seem like it was something that he kind of just had to do. Um, and so, what do you call it? I feel that that's problematic because he's not really taking what had happened seriously. Um, he's not standing up for the American values against fascism, uh, against Nazis. He didn't acknowledge the fact that we had fought wars against the Nazis in his initial statement, and I feel like not doing so immediately kind of uh, ruins the potency of anything he has to say afterward. It's sort of like an apology, but it's like a belated apology, and it just doesn't really. It will never have the same impact it would have had it been stated immediately after the events of Charlottesville. Um, what else? I wanted to talk not only about that, but also about why this sort of behavior still happens. And part of it is that, of course, hate breeds hate. Um, what do you call it? Public opinion, of course, is influenced by a lot of um, factors, including who you socialize with. Earlier on in your life, it's probably your parents that teach you your morals, any sort of people that you interact with, like friends, family, that are going to kind of encourage certain behavior. And so, it does, like, hate breeds hate. Also, we live in America where it's okay to be a racist as long as it's behind closed doors, meaning that you can say what you want to say, you can say whatever um, behind closed doors, and it's okay. At least in the view of society, because society is usually not in that room. it's usually said in private and stuff like that. Because of this, we're never gonna know if it does go away, and it's not likely that it's going to go away, just because we are not living in a utopia. This is not a perfect world. I think that's very clear. Let me know what you think about the protest that took place in Charlottesville down below. Also, I think I'm going to be starting a new series. Or I guess it would be a sub-series on this like non-Pokemon content stuff. But it would basically be connecting with America, where we take where we examine videos like the one I had kind of responded to a bit earlier, and we kind of like analyze why such behavior, such values are held, what contributes to their behavior and their beliefs, because I feel that that's very important, not only for elections, but just in general, because the government is there to serve its people, and we need to be aware of concerns that constituents have. So I think that would be a good way to do that. So yeah, I think that's about it. Just gonna wrap this up.